Well, holiday season has finally arrived, and in the midst of all of the holidays, one thing we know increases is stress. The holidays can be chaotic. It can be a mixture of school projects, concerts, holiday parties, sports schedules, finals, etc. And so it is a jam-packed time that really can make us feel pushed to the limit and really run down. They actually say that there's an increase of heart attacks during the holiday season by 37% because of the increased amount of stress that we're under and just really the busyness. And so it really is something where it could be deadlines at work or it could be school schedules, etc. There's a lot of pressure cramped into a small amount of space. And so this video is for anyone who wants to prioritize your family's health and wellness during this season so that you can stay healthy and enjoy your holidays as best as possible. So, we're going to go over a few simple things that you can prioritize this holiday season to really help optimize it for you. We know that 41% of adults report an increase in stress levels during the holiday season compared to other times during the year. And that's actually reported by the American Psychological Association. And so we know that there's an increase. And with that, there's weakened immune systems. There's, when you talked about, there's all sorts of other things that come with once we start increasing stress and really how that increases or decreases our overall health and well-being. So one thing that we can do first is we can prioritize our neurological health. So our neurological health is for prioritizing regulating our nervous system. And so we do that with nervous system focused chiropractic care. And that's really saying, hey, we know that there's pent up tension and stress, and we want to calm your body down and regulate your nervous system so that there's space that when you're exposed to more stress, like during the holiday season, your body has the bandwidth. And so it's by saying, hey, let's increase the slack in the rope because we're going to be exposed to stress. And stress isn't inherently bad. It's just about saying, how well do we adapt to it when it comes our way? And so we really want to focus things for our neurological health and regulating our nervous system because during a time like this, or when we go through more stressful time periods, our body is going to have more slack in the rope. It's going to be able to adapt better and versus, getting sick, et cetera, getting overwhelmed, overstimulated, et cetera. We have more of that bandwidth to adapt. And so if your family is not already under chiropractic care, it can be a great thing to implement because one of the things we like to brag about is that it can be very quick and very effective. So research actually shows that the chiropractic adjustment, when they did an EEG on someone while they were getting adjusted, we actually saw that during the adjustment lit up the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that activates logical thinking and deactivates the emotional center. And so we know that the actual adjustment shifts us out of that emotion-based stress response and as well as increasing vagal tone, which is the vagus nerve, and stimulating your parasympathetic rest and digest. So one of the things that's super cool is to literally get to a point where we can stimulate the brain and get you out of that stress response in such a quick appointment as well. It's really able to shine in times like this where it's saying, hey, I don't have time for a 12-step routine on how I'm going to increase vagal tone or prioritize my health, but it can be something that can be easier to implement. And that's one of the things that's so cool about chiropractic care is we try to make it as quick and as easy and as implementable as possible. So if your family's not already under chiropractic care, this would be a good time. But say your family is under regular chiropractic care and you've been prioritizing regulating your nervous system. One thing to be mindful of is sometimes in our office we call them boost adjustments, but boost adjustments are just saying that during times of stress or more stress, we have to make sure we're pacing the support we're giving our body with the amount of stress that we're under. And so really we want to say, are we giving our body the support it needs, or is stress outpacing support? And so when stress increases, Sometimes that means we have to then add, we have to maybe implement a boost adjustment, which in our office would be an extra visit, which is saying, hey, you know what? I know this week is going to be a tougher week for me, or I know, we have family coming in town this week, and so I'm going to get in an extra time because I know my body just needs a little bit extra to get through this season. And so it's saying, hey, you know what? Like, I want to recognize that when stress increases, I want to also increase the support I'm giving my body proportionately so I give my body the best chance it has to thrive. And that really helps significantly because it's really just saying, like, hey, I'm going to give my body a little extra TLC. What we don't want is your stress to outpace the support. And so it can just be adding something as simple as a boost adjustment, but across the board, thinking on the lines of how can I give my body a little extra boost? How can I recognize and honor the fact that my body is going to be increasing output? And instead of being frustrated or surprised or angry, or when our bodies say, like, hey, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, I'm exhausted, etc., how can we say, hey, body, I know that you're giving so much more right now, and I'm so proud of you because you're able to do that. And what an amazing and incredible gift our bodies are to us, in what they can withstand, and how well they can adapt, and how much output they can put out. But our bodies are simply just saying, hey, I can do this and I can show up and I can push, but I just need a little bit of extra support. And so it's this dichotomy of saying, like, your body is saying, hey, I can push. Your body could run a marathon, but you can't run a marathon continuously. And so, say you run a marathon, what do you have to do after the marathon? You have to rest. And so it's really saying, hey, your body is capable of so much, and your body can absolutely push through a busy season. But are we giving our body the tools and support that it needs to make sure that it can withstand that, instead of just kind of ending that and having our body totally run down? So, with the marathon example, what if we didn't give our body any nourishment or any food or any nutrients during a marathon? What if we didn't give our body any water during a marathon? How would our body perform? And so it's really just saying, hey, your body can do amazing things, but it's just saying, "Hey, just throw me a bone, give me a little support, and that will go a really long way." And when you finish the holiday season, your levels of exhaustion, fatigue, illness, etc., and saying that we can avoid the crash at the end because we've been giving it more support in the meantime. And so that's what a chiropractic boost adjustment would be, but that's true amongst everything. And so a couple of the other, like, key points that are very trying to make them simplified, because the last thing we want to do is make you feel like during a busy time we're trying to add things to your schedule. Because one, that's unrealistic, and two, that's only going to increase the amount of stress your body's under. And so then we're going to end up stressing your body out more to focus on your new 10-step health routine, rather than positively benefiting and positively decreasing your stress levels. So trying to make these things very implementable, and then also minimal. We want just minimal changes. So the next thing is your sleep schedule and your sleep routine. And you might be thinking, yeah, like, this is going to be the time of the year I'm going to increase my sleep. But when it comes to sleep, it may be something as simple as adding 10 minutes, trying to go to bed maybe 10 minutes earlier. It may be something as simple as just saying, like, hey, I want to turn my phone off because I know that there are a lot of notifications. I know that there's a lot of things on social media. I know that maybe there's a lot of things you're focusing on your phone for those work deadlines or school schedules or group texts for organizing, maybe Christmas dinner, etc. All of these things, maybe you turn that off maybe 30 minutes earlier than you typically turn it off, just so that your mind can start to wind down, so you're able to get higher quality sleep. Because then you're not going right into sleep with this stress mentality, which is going to decrease the quality night's sleep you're going to get because your mind's going to still be racing. So, how can you think about how you can implement these little things just so that you can really prioritize and say, hey, if I'm getting good quality sleep right now, it's going to really help my body. Your body is going to, without sleep, as sleep is really the foundation. Without sleep, your body is going to be very worn down. It's going to be more susceptible to illness. You're going to be more emotionally reactive, etc. You're going to crave more unhealthy foods, which then you're going to go into sugar, which are then going to make you feel worse. It's going to be a dopamine hit, etc. So we really want to say, but I really want to emphasize it's not about saying all of a sudden you're going to get 8 more hours of sleep. You're going to go to bed at 8 p.m. versus 11 p.m. It's saying something as simple as, how can I make my room darker during this time? Are there extra lights in this room, or am I looking at the TV too close to bedtime, and maybe that light is decreasing, that blue light's decreasing our melatonin. And so, hey, how maybe I can make my room a little darker to increase the quality of sleep. Maybe I can turn the TV off a little earlier. Maybe I can put my phone on do not disturb an hour before I go to sleep so that I'm not tempted to look at notifications and your brain can start to wind down. Or so you're not getting every time a notification hits, it's going to trigger that fight or flight or that sympathetic because it's going to be like notification, oh, to do. And so maybe it's just putting your phone on do not disturb. Maybe that's something you do all day actually, because you know that there's going to be an increase in the amount of things that are needed from you. So maybe you make that conscious effort, and that's going to help support your sleep. So the next thing is staying active and trying to get outdoors. And I know that those also might seem daunting this time of year, but activity is not the same as exercise. So exercise is when we're intentionally going to work. Activity is movement. How are we moving our bodies? And so it's important that we recognize movement is key. It's not always about, I'm going to make an hour, 2 hours, etc., to spend in the gym, but it's how am I implementing movement throughout the day that really adds up. And something as powerful as walking is huge. And so maybe it's taking a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's too cold outside and you don't want to do that. So maybe you have access to a treadmill, and maybe that's how you do it. Maybe it's simply doing a 10-minute yoga video on YouTube for free at home, just at night or first thing in the morning, or maybe in the afternoon when you're feeling maybe a little overwhelmed, just to get your blood flowing and your body moving. This is going to tremendously make a huge difference across the board because it's going to loosen up your muscles. It's going to release feel good hormones. It's going to keep your blood pumping, which is going to help keep everything moving. And it's also going to support your detox pathways. And so anything that's toxic or anything that's congested, it's going to help release those and get that moving. Our lymphatic system is our drainage system, and it actually does not have a pump. So the pump of the lymphatic system is the muscles. And so moving your body is the most important thing you can do to keep that drainage pathway moving. So something as simple as maybe a 10-minute yoga class. Maybe it's even just a stretch class. Maybe it's not even a very intense class, but saying, how can I prioritize moving my body in low impact ways that are going to help decrease stress? Low impact exercise is shown in research to decrease your stress. So, how can you try to implement that? And obviously, going outdoors would be fantastic and optimal, but I also understand, depending on the climate and where you're at, that may be limitedly available. Um, but just trying to say, like I said, with everything, it's really just saying, how can I make this actionable? How can I make this digestible? Because then we're not adding it to our to do list, because the to do list is already long enough. And so we don't want our brain to see it as another thing on the to do list, because that's going to further send us into overwhelm or into shutdown. Versus if we make it very small, our brain is going to feel like, I can do that. And if you can do it, if your brain feels like you can do it, and then you do it, you're actually going to get positive reinforcement back to the brain. So say you say, I'm going to do 10 minutes of yoga on YouTube right now. And you're like, hey, I'm going to do this. I can handle it. 10 minutes, low impact yoga, YouTube. And you do that, you've now sent the signal back to your brain, positive reinforcement, because your brain's proud that you were able to do it. And now you have all of the positive benefits of exercise. But if you were to say, hey, I want to go and I want to go walk 3 miles, your brain is going to classify that under the to do list and say, ooh, that sounds daunting. And then when you don't get around to it because you're so overwhelmed, it's going to send you into shutdown. And so that's when you get to a point when people are like, hey, I have so much on my plate, I don't even know where to start. And that's what they call like analysis paralysis or decision fatigue, where it's like you don't even know how to start because everything seems so overwhelming. And so now you've put it into a bucket with everything else. So it's further sending the stress response. And then when you're unable to follow through on it, which is perfectly understandable because you're already booked solid, and so there really wasn't room in the schedule to put it in there. Now your brain is saying, oh, I'm a failure. I wasn't able to do it. I can't do that. And now we're sending this negative cascade. Not only do we not have the positive benefits of exercise, but now we're going to have further negative benefits of this negativity cascade. And so that's why it's so important to make it very small and very actionable, because that's what's really going to help you when you're in overwhelm or you're in a season where there's so much on your plate you're not sure what you can do. And so one of the next thing you can do is you can focus on good nutrition. And so I bring up sugar. Sugar is going to be something you're going to crave. You're going to crave high fatty foods and sugar if you're sleep deprived. So if your body is tired, those are going to give you quick energy and quick dopamine. And so your body is actually very intuitive and very intelligent to crave certain things based on what it's looking for. So if you really tune into what your body is craving, you'll recognize your body is sending signals straight to your brain. When you crave salty foods, a lot of times it's because your body needs. When you need water, you'll crave water. When you need these different things, it's so intuitive. When you really tune into what is it your body is wanting, and it's doing that very intelligently. And so when you crave sugary things or even like high fatty foods, it's not because your body is craving something unhealthy or where your body is saying, hey, I want to be unhealthy. It's saying, I know that's going to give me quick energy. I know that's going to give me dopamine. And when you're sleep deprived and you need that, that's exactly what your body needs to keep going. And so it's not saying, hey, I want to be unhealthy, but it's intuitively picking up on what it needs. And so it's a quick sign if you have a lot of those cravings, it's a quick sign to say, hey, let's look and see how well is my body sleeping or resting, and how can I prioritize good nutrition. So that's when it says, hey, if you can opt for, make sure there are plenty of healthy foods available. During a busy season, the trap a lot of times that we fall into is convenience. And so that can also be another negative feedback loop where we feed into, we have unhealthy food because of convenience, because we're overwhelmed by, oh, we don't have anything else, we have so much else to do. We go for the convenient option, then we have unhealthy food, then we feel like crap because we had unhealthy food, and then we have more unhealthy food. And so really saying, hey, prioritizing, hey, what does my body want? That's an indicator on where your body's at, what you need to give your body, and then making sure that you have really good just protein, healthy fat, staying hydrated. Try to squeeze in those fruits and vegetables. It's going to make a big difference in the long run to make you feel better at the end of the holiday season. It's also going to, when we decrease that sugar consumption, it's going to help significantly in helping support your immune system by giving your body real nutrients and vitamins and minerals, versus when we're having a lot of sugar, etc. It's going to really break down that immune system and making us more susceptible when we're exposed to different things. And so that leads us right into that immune system. We know right now, I've had several people talk about there's flu going around right now, there's pneumonia going around right now, there's RSV going around right now. This is the time where people get hit really hard, and it's not just a weather thing. It really is a combination of it's colder, and so therefore we're going out less. And so we have less vitamin D, and the sun is our primary source of natural vitamin D. And it's a huge factor in our immune system. So we're not going outside as much, it's colder, therefore we're not getting as much vitamin D, we're not getting as much fresh air, we're staying indoors more, therefore we're passing things around to each other more. And then because we're staying indoors less, we're less physically active. Physical activity, like I said, is a primary way of keeping the lymph moving, and that's are also our immune system. So now, we're more backed up. We're not detoxing as efficiently, and therefore, then we're also more stressed out, which makes us immunocompromised. The more stress we have, and so we just have this recipe where it's not just one thing, it's all these things together. And so when you're able to focus on all of these things together, that's going to make you more resilient when it comes to catching different colds, flus, viruses, etc. this holiday season. So make sure you recognize if you need to supplement with vitamin D or C, or zinc, or elderberry is a great one just to help the inflammation. That hey, this is the time I typically get pretty run down and get pretty sick. So I know that maybe I can go ahead and start supplementing that now versus when you start getting sick. It's much more effective once you have built a resilience than once you're already sick. And so you say, hey, you know what? I'm pretty susceptible to getting sick this time of year. I know that a lot of these other factors make sense for where I'm at. Maybe it's geographically, vitamin D is going to be an issue, etc. And so, hey, I know proactively this is what I need to do to support my immune system. Well, those are my 5 tips for helping you out this holiday season. It's really my heart to make sure that it doesn't feel super overwhelming, but that feels that's doable, and that at the end of this holiday season, you feel like you were able to enjoy the holidays, you were able to enjoy time with family, and you feel like you were able to really be able to show up, enjoy it, and to be able to spend that time because community is so important. I think that too often we move through life too quickly and we're too stressed out about things. And so we're really unable to really be still and enjoy things. So it's my heart that you're able to find moments of stillness and of peace to really be able to celebrate this holiday season. If any of those tips stick out to you or you feel like any of those really make a big difference, comment below and let me know. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.